it's Cancer season in the building, baby. So this is the care energy. This is the area where we're gonna be basically utilizing our emotions, our feelings, and our heart chakras towards things that we care about, things that we have an emotional connection, emotional stance on at this point. And also, this is the time where things get real hot. Summertime, summer season. So this is the time where the sun actually get hot, aka where that charge come real strong, real smooth, real authentic, real authentic. So of course during this time you gotta basically shine light on things that you care about, value, and of course things that you are willing to basically build on at this point. For me, you already went through the process of Aries, which is you built your head, your temple. You went through the process of Taurus, where you built your neck, your throat. Feel me? Your your nostrils in this area when it comes to your throat chakra in that perspective, where your second house dealing with your roots, getting lower and lower. Then of course we with the Gemini season where we built the hands. Feel me? Utilize our mind, our intellect, communication, sharing ideas, and during this time we're gonna basically be reminiscing about Cancer, reminiscing about our feelings, our emotions, and how we feel about things, and the emotional stances during this time. And after that, we're gonna get into Leo season. We're gonna set the stage. We're gonna utilize our expressions, our passions, our motives, and of course, we're gonna get those harvestation season in Virgo. We're gonna basically plant the seeds, and we're gonna get into Libra season where we're gonna basically relate, create some form of equilibrium and balance. Of course, start accumulating that perspective. Then we're gonna get into Scorpio season where we're gonna basically be utilizing our private parts, our private areas to get privately, invested towards what we do behind closed doors. And of course, we're gonna get into Sagittarius season. We're gonna utilize our thighs, our legs to expand, and of course, that's gonna come right down where it falls out in Capricorn, where your knees, things that you're grounding and building upon. And of course, we're gonna go through the process of Aquarius, which is our ankles. So we're gonna basically go through the process of Pisces, which is our feet, our belief and what you believe, and of course what you stand on. Now during this time, all Sun, Moon, ascendances, Capricorn, Sun, Moon, ascendances, you guys are gonna be basically going through obstacles, oppositions, which means this is really nothing wrong with that perspective. We're also going to utilize, y'all also going to be examples, but most importantly, Cancer is going to be basically the examples of how we are valuing what we are emotionally connected towards, to good or bad, depending on how these play out. Now these stars, you guys are going to basically be the spaceships on the sun when it comes to getting on stage, expressing yourself, and performing yourself when it comes to home, family, and of course domestic perspective. So during this time, you guys are going to basically be a huge example. And happy birthday to all Cancer, Sun, Moon, ascendances. For me, you ain't really on that cut. You still on the cusp, but within a few more days, when we get to 3 degrees Cancer, then it's the time where things gonna start evolving when it comes to the environments, the surroundings, and of course, keep pushing forward when it comes to these perspectives. So during Cancer season, this is all about home, family, and of course, you have this location, this area somewhere in your charts. So wherever you have it in your charts, it's going to be the areas and of course the locations where you need to focus your energies, focus your substantial energies, and of course starting to build on that action, starting to build on that process. For me, shine light on your emotions on these areas, also being private in these areas. For me, because the more you're private in these areas, the bigger the better. When you're out there open, and of course out there all over the place, you're gonna basically feel safe and protected in these areas. For me, especially when you are in a process or a situation where you feel more comfortable doing things in this area. For me, now the opposing, the opposite, the obstacles are gonna basically be the Pluto and Capricorn energies. Now, the only reason Pluto and Capricorn is gonna basically be opposing the Sun during the time, being that things are gonna kind of like where you ever went through the process where you filled your cup up almost to the point where it can't go no more, and you get to the process of where you need to actually utilize Pluto and Capricorn to pretty much transform and take power, control of an issue or a person, place, or thing. It's going to be a situation where you may basically care too much. So Pluto and Capricorn is going to basically be here and be the example of where you basically need to go ahead and, of course, transform yourself away from certain people, certain things, certain situations. This way, you won't place yourself into a vulnerable situation where you are overflowing the cup for someone, and of course, they have never poured the cup for you. So this is a situation, a process where you may basically have to utilize and be aware of these things too. And wherever you got that in your house, it's going to be the areas where you're going to basically manifest a whole lot of those experiences during this time. Feel me? And also Jupiter and we also got the moon in Aries, and of course we got Jupiter in Aries during this time. So it's going to be a whole lot of, especially Mars being in Aries, so it's going to be a whole lot of learning experiences towards our passions, towards our experiences, and towards how we are reacting and responding to things during this time. So it's going to be quite clever during this time and during the season where we're going to basically be aware of what's going to be basically correlating and responding during this time. So you got to be aware, and of course you got to be currently having the right process and the right motivation towards the truly people, places, and things that you value during this time. So you got to be aware of what you're basically getting yourself into, the areas where you are signing your name on certain dotted lines and things that you are kind of like, giving your energy or, of course, your freedom away towards certain individuals. And, of course, you may basically not maybe in the best interest towards giving your freedom to certain individuals, because during this time, for me, these individuals can pretty much be seeing your downfall or seeing a situation where they can pretty much just sneak up and go ahead and, of course, take you out that position. So you got to basically be very aware and cautious of who you developing and, of course, building a family with during this time when it comes to this emotional season. For me, because you got to make sure your emotions and your feelings is kind of like clear during this. Now, with Cancer season, get you a cup or have a water bottle with you during this time, because it's going to be a utilization of your feelings, your emotions. You got to make sure it's up to you to basically clear out those feelings, those emotions, as far as how you're feeling on the inside about certain things and certain characteristics and the cups that you're feeling. It's all about your intent behind what you're filling the cup up for me. Everything is alchemy, everything is magic, and of course during this time you want to basically utilizing your magic and your feelings, which is your feelings, your emotions, and of course how you feel on the inside internally. You want to make sure that cup is fulfilled in areas and locations that is secluded towards, bigger perspectives or areas where you want to pretty much, build something during this time, because Cancer is going to be receiving this exaltation from Sagittarius, which is being wise on certain things, and of course Pisces, which is of course being emotionally sensitive and of course caring. Now the moon falls a Scorpio, so you don't want to place yourself in a situation to have the fall during this time. For me, you want to make sure you are in the process of but sometimes the falls is good though, because the falls is going to basically bring you underneath the surface to realize all the circumstances and situations of manipulation, of course trauma, or circumstance situations where people, places, and things are pretty much utilizing your power or your intent towards their way of corresponding. So it's actually good to come down there in that water to see what's going on before you come back up. For me, sometimes that's pretty much going underneath the surface, of course, releasing, cleaning, and detoxing and releasing all them toxins and of course all them shits that don't no longer be within your process. You want to leave that shit down there towards other areas or other spirits that can pretty much go through that experience and learn from those experiences, and of course expand out of those experiences, because of course energy can never be destroyed, but of course the energy will always be reciprocated, passed upon towards other experiences, which can basically be tests. So you got the highs and lows, but you also want to basically be in that area where you're balanced, where things is kind of like you gotta know you go too high sometimes, you gotta come back down just a little bit. For me, it's all about the equilibrium and balance. Of course, if you're not weighing the scales properly, the scale's gonna outweigh you, and your scale's gonna break. And of course, when your scales break, then you gotta pretty much do extra things to kind of like make those scales more even. And this is where we talk about the process of feathers, how much your heart weight during this time, lighter than a feather during this time. So of course, you want to be light as a feather at all aspects and all processes during your life. This way, when you're light as a feather, you'll basically actually be able to have correspondence to pretty much place you into areas where you can pretty much go about your way freely, and you won't have a fucking amount, a whole lot of books that's gonna basically unelevate your shoulders. Because of course, when your shoulders get unelevated and shit, you ain't gonna be able to actually carry shit properly. Now, if you have the first house in Cancer, see, the first house is going to kind of be sleep here in this process during this time. It's going to be sleep here. And being that it's sleep, that means it may have to basically take a whole lot out of you to basically get the ball rolling, get the ball functioning going, because you're very emotionally caring. And of course, you're going to be very homebody. So this is a new way to develop a home, family, develop the right roots, the right correspondence, starting to build on this process, so that you're placing yourself into situations where you need to come up with a new way on how to initiate, create, and utilize your feelings and emotions towards your personal life, your personal care, personal and personal self-reflection during this time. So this whole season should basically be about your personal life, and the personal people within your life could be your home, your family, your privacy, and what you got going on in that correspondence. Now, you're going to be basically dealing with some oppositions, aka obstacles, when it comes to your 7th house, the people you relate to. The people that you relate to can be very cold, or you can be basically cold towards them during the time. But what's going to basically help you out in this circumstance situation is Pluto and Capricorn within your 7th house. So that means you basically need to go ahead and take full power control and take full responsibilities over how you relate towards people. And you need to take power control over that, or the people, places, the thing that you relate to is going to basically take power control over you. So if you place too many eggs in one basket, you're going to feel the need to basically relate that. So now don't allow individuals to basically take power control over how you relate things, for me. Make sure you create that equilibrium and balance, and allowing the motherfucker know that you will basically, cut them off if you have to when it comes to how you relate towards them. And depending on how they are related towards you. So it's all about a balance when it comes to that perspective. So be aware of that perspective. And if you plant the right seeds, you're basically going to manifest the right relationships when it comes to the full moon being in Capricorn, when we get to that correspondence. But during this time, if you got this in your 2nd house, you're going to be placed into situations of overindulging. This is a new way to overindulge towards what you value, the people you value, and the things that you're valuing. Now, this is your focus, 2nd house, material, resources, bonds, gifts, talents, expressions, creativity. Now, Cancer is exalted in this house, and this is the 2nd house, so it's a correspondence too. Now, on the opposite end, you're going to be placed into situations of dealing with the 8th house, which is the fall, which means Cancer actually falls in that house. But on the 8th house perspective, we're going to basically be dealing with that Pluto and Capricorn energies, which is dealing with privacy, things that you're on the dark about, or people, places, the thing that you have a deep connection with. Now, these people, places, the thing that you have a deep connection with, or people that are the secrets or the hidden agendas, they're going to basically pop back up and, of course, try to fuck with what you got going. You're going to kind of like pretty much put their hands towards what you're valuing, putting their hands in the pot during the time. So be aware what you're basically allowing. Yeah, so when it comes to your 2nd house, you can be overindulgent towards your resources, your material, or you're going to basically be having someone that's within your 8th house that's going to kind of like, take power control over that. But your goal and your process is pretty much take power control over your inner demons, what you got going on behind the scenes. Now, when it comes to Cancer being in the 3rd house, in this circumstance situation, you're going to be placed to a scenario where you may overindulge as well, feel me? Because this is a Taurus ascendant. So you're going to have opportunities to overindulge towards your environment, your surroundings, or siblings and things that matter. Or siblings may be in the process of trying to, overindulge towards taking care of you, nurturing you, loving you, and the things that matter. So your focus is going to be dealing with environment, surroundings, friends, and the people, places, the things that you have a connection with. So if you starting to feel the need at these individuals, or not your friends, or things of that perspective, then you're already going to have to utilize Pluto and Capricorn within your 9th house to pretty much take power control of that perspective, and create your own ways of dealing with your experiences, your morals, your principles. And of course, you're gonna place it to situations of dealing with because we got Capricorn in that house, so it's gonna basically be a whole lot of oppositions, which you're gonna attract within the full moon process. When of course the moon start getting this waxing perspective. So the seeds you plant during this time when it comes to your 3rd house are going to be the seeds you bear witness to when it comes to the full moon being in that 9th house. Now, you got this in your 4th house. This is home, your family. So you're going to be placed in this process of coming up with a new way to basically have an emotional connection towards home, privacy, family. Or you're going to be placed in situations going through some deep power control issues when it comes to your status, your morals, your principles, and your reputation during the time. Now, if you plant the right seeds within your 4th house, you will have the right reputations, the right fulfillments when it comes to your business, and of course things that you're trying to ground yourself onto. So be aware of that. So this is the home, this is the space. Now if you got this in your 5th house, you can be placed into a situation of having a new way to deal with an emotional connection towards romance, relationships, expressions, creativity, talents, gifts, hobbies, things that you do when it comes to your fun, your enjoyment, things that you entertain, or things that entertain you. Now you're going to basically be placed in situations that are with the opposite energy, which is going to basically be your oppositions within your 11th house. So you need to take power control over your associations, your groups, or you're going to have these individuals taking power control over what you got going on when it comes to your romance. Or you're going to basically have some outsiders or some intruders. So pretty much take power control over that area so you won't be placed in situations of dealing with some, tug of war. Everything will basically be lined up perfectly towards your perspective. Now, if you got this in your 6th house, you're going to be placed in situations of coming up with a new way, have an emotional connection towards your work, health routines, and things that you do when it comes to your responsibilities. Now, Pluto in Capricorn is going to pretty much force you to go ahead and take power control over your subconscious, your feelings, your emotions, of course, what you got going on when it comes to the secrets. You're going to go through some transformation. Now, with Cancer being in the 7th house right here, you're going to be placed in situations that deal with oppositions and obstacles during the time when it comes to your 7th house. For me, your Capricorn ascendant. So you're already getting hit with the Pluto and Capricorn energies. Of course, you're getting hit with the opposition during this time. So you're going to be basically dealing with these learning aspects during this time. So you need to be learning how to emotionally connect towards your relationships and having a correspondence where you can connect, relate, build, and have a business going when it comes to how you relate towards others, family or business partner, and things that perspective. That's going to pretty much get the ball rolling. But you need to learn how to do this. Now what's going to pretty much oppose you is going to basically be Pluto and Capricorn in the 1st house. So that means you need to basically take care of your personal life first. Take care of yourself first before you place yourself in a situation to deal with a way of relating with someone or a relationship. Because if you ain't taking power control over yourself and getting yourself right, taking care of your personal life, then of course you planting seeds in this area is going to kind of like, it's going to kind of like be haywire. So your purpose and your process, focus on yourself, then most importantly relate. But you gotta relate with yourself before you relate with anyone else. So yeah, that's how it's gonna play out. Now, if you got this in your 8th house, you're gonna be basically having an emotional deep connection towards privacy, or you're gonna be basically dealing with some emotional intimacy, or you're gonna be placed in situations where you want to basically start planting seeds towards what you are in the dark about. Stay down till you come up during the sun. Don't tell nobody your business, which is gonna basically be Pluto and Capricorn in the 2nd house. Now, if you put too much eggs in one basket, aka your 8th house, ain't gonna have no choice but to basically place yourself in situations where your 2nd house is gonna basically be fulfilled or unfulfilled, depending on how much secrecy you was basically exposed to. So keep your mouth shut. Stay on business. Don't tell nobody too much of your business. Now, if you got to see your 9th house, you'll be placed in situations of overindulging towards emotional connection towards moralities, wisdom, knowledge, preaching, teachings, and learning, of course, education and experiences. So you need to have an emotional connection during that process, or come up with your own way of creating your religion, your spirituality. And what's gonna kind of like take you back is gonna be your environment, your surroundings and shit. You may basically have to transform your surroundings or your environment or the people that's in it to basically get your seeds planted in the right spectrum. Now, if you got this in your 10th house, you need to basically go ahead and have an emotional deep connection towards your status, your career, your reputation, and your business, or what you are building on. Now, if it's gonna hold you back and throw you off, can be your home, your family, your privacy and shit. So be careful who you share your business with. 11th house, you're gonna have this is planting new seeds towards an emotional connection towards your associations, groups, and friends and shit like that. Now, what's gonna kind of like throw you off is gonna be your 5th Pluto and Capricorn within your 5th house, your romance, your creativity, expressions in the stage use planet. Now, last but not least, it's gonna be 12th house, having an emotional deep connection towards your dreams, imaginations, fantasies, and illusions. That was gonna kind of like throw you off. It's gonna be your work, health routines, and things that you do on a day-to-day basis. So have balance in between that.